All right, we're live, and I think a second ago you saw that screen. That was Lee Hale, the Maryland State Pickerel record holder. That's a big fish. Let me show it to you. Lee is a fishing fool, and rightfully so that he has the record. I wanted to bring that up because if you've been following the Pickerel tournament, we've had a little mix-up in the leaderboard recently, a mix-up in the longest fish. I think the longest fish that's currently standing right now was caught over the weekend. Reported by Sean Kimbrough, and I know some folks were asking him, hey, did you weigh that fish? It might be close to the record too, but I don't think he did. I think he threw it back. So it's out there, a big one, a 27 1/4. We'll show that to you in a second. And folks, Happy New Year. Glad to be back here talking about the CCA Maryland Pickerel Tournament. This tournament wouldn't be such a success without all of you, those that sign up and participate and support CCA. And so I wanted to bring in, the new year started. I was kind of getting ready to get back to work, and I looked at the leaderboard, and was no surprise that I saw Lenny Rudow and DavidRudow at the top of the list. Of course, Lenny lives and breathes fishing and has been a great resource for our community with Fish Talk magazine, but so much more before that in the Chesapeake. And it looks like it's in the family. David, I shared a video of a day he had fishing and caught a massive bass, largemouth, and a handful of nice pickerel. And so those two were duking it out in first and second on the leaderboard up until this past week. So I want to bring in Lenny and David.
Hello.
How's it going?
How you doing? Happy New Year, guys. Happy Tuesday, January 12th. So, David, I think you were in front of your dad there for a minute. I'm going to check the leaderboard here. You still might be.
Don't check. No, you don't need to check, Dave. You shouldn't check.
I think we should check.
All right, hold on. It's loading up here. So it's funny when I log into the leaderboard, having an admin account at iAngler, it takes forever for the leaderboard to load.
It probably shows that I'm ahead of David. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Hold on. Let's see here. It's showing Chase Savage is out in front of all you guys. Congrats, Chase, on a first place. Like I said, there's been some mix-ups, and by mix-ups, I just mean changes in the leaderboard. David's holding second right now with 77.
Stop scrolling. Stop scrolling, please.
At third. And wait, wasn't it David? Weren't you in first and your dad was in second?
So yeah, I was in first. He was in second, and then I wake up one morning, thinking like, should I fish today? And I see that Chase has gone up above me. I think it was like a 1/4 inch. So I was like, definitely gonna go out and fish. Go out, got a nice fish that would have put me, I think, another 1/4 inch above him. Log it, get back to my house and see he caught another fish that put him back above me. So we were going back and forth in like a single day, I think twice.
I love it. So right here on the leaderboard page, folks, I'm on this one where you go to ccamd.org/pickerel, just like at the bottom of the screen, and you click on the leaderboard. And these are all different ways you can sort the leaderboard. Your screen may look a little different than mine because I'm logged in as an admin, but ultimately you can look by length. I'll click that in a second here and show you the best way to kind of look at everything, because the iAngler system is great, but sometimes we come up with different pieces of the tournament that can't be directly reflected on the leaderboard the way that the technology works. But I want to give folks a little guide here. So on Chase's fish, this 78.5, that means entered into the open category, which is all the fish you catch with any legal tackle. He's submitted now 16 different fish, and that's 3 plus the 13. So the 3 that count, and it says it right here. I just cursored over that or clicked on that. So he's turned in 16 fish. There's pictures of them all, and the score breakdown of the top 3 fish there that he caught in brackets. So it says 3 out of the 3 logs fulfilled the SLAM criteria. SLAM just means that's the total here on the right. You'll notice in his crappie category, he caught one and he entered it. It totally counts. At the end of the tournament, we line up all the panfish and make sure we rank it that way. The reason it doesn't automatically add into the score was we wanted this leaderboard to reflect the 3-fish stringer for pickerel. So the leaderboard is really just reflecting the pickerel. But you can cursor over the different folks. You can see David's caught fish on kayak and open. And so these 3 fish from kayak are probably the top kayak stringer, but the leaderboard doesn't reflect it that way. So it can be a little bit confusing. And let me scroll down where Lenny didn't want me to go. Look at this. Victor Brown, Adam Smith, Eric Packard, then Lenny. Okay, it's okay. These are all really respectable stringers. Look at Alex. Alex is a great guy that works at Anglers. Tim was in the standings last year. We've got a lot of really good anglers here, in the 70-inch range. Lenny, what you got? What do you have? 74 and a quarter. Let's see what did you catch, Lenny? 25, 24 and 3/4, and a 24 and a half. You can upgrade.
Yeah, I need to upgrade.
Well, you can. What'd you get last year? What was your stringer?
Oh gosh, I honestly don't remember, Dave. It was better than what I got now, but we still got time. I'm not done yet.
Tons of time. We're only
I got time to get more ahead of him.
Yeah, you do. You do. But just for the sake of argument here, does that mean Dave's in the lead on kayak?
I think so, and I probably spoke too soon because this is what I would do. Now, I can show you all the back end. I
gotta get a kayak because this is unacceptable.
Yeah. So here's all the catches. There are 258 logged. Sometimes you'll see this is what the judges see. There'll be a red for a reason. I think this one had a blurry picture. There's others that may be a duplicate. I think David's was a duplicate here. I can't remember, but we go through and we judge this way and make sure we can communicate back and forth with folks. And ultimately, I'm going to go back to the leaderboard and show you the best way to probably just by yourself, kind of on the back of an envelope, make sure who's doing what from a leadership or a rankings perspective. So here I'm on the leaderboard. I'm going to click length. This might help, but so Sean caught that fish in the open division. You scroll down, that's all open fish up top. A lot of them. There we go. There's the kayak division. So the way this is ranked, this should be accurate. Victor has the largest fish in the kayak division. Eric has the second largest. And then you see David here, and David there. So you can assume that because David's name comes 3 times on that kayak rank, then David's going to lead with the kayak stringer.
So does the kayak ranking work? Is it a stringer or is it by the largest fish?
It's both. So I'm sorry. Time out. Stringer is everything put together. The largest fish. So yeah, forget everything I said about your name coming up 3 times. I'm sorry. I'm all over the place. But right now, I mean, the kayak prize is is that first place. That Victor. So I think that's right. I mean, it says it all in the tournament. I truly have not looked at the rules recently because I don't really need to. I look at the entries and kind of rank them. So if I'm mistaken here, I apologize. But the stringers are the stringers, and so that's just a kind of a guide by the leaderboard here. And speaking of kayaks, I know we've got another avid kayaker and Fish Talk supporter, Eric Packard.
Hey guys.
Hey Eric.
So Eric's in I think what was it, second place in the kayak with the biggest fish. So let's talk tips and tricks. We're going to start from the bottom up. Lenny, I know you do a great job on your live show and your magazine and everything that Fish Talk does to help share fishing tips with folks. But if you had one tip to catch big fish, what is it? Catch big fish.
First off, I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. We do try hard at Fish Talk. I got to tell you, Dave, these 2 guys on the screen with me right now, we were all fishing in the same place about a week ago, and they both outfished me by a significant margin. I'm saying I caught most. I probably caught most. But when it comes to catching the biggest fish, they both broke 26 inches, and I couldn't break out at 24 and a half. Now, I like to use minnow on a large white marabou jig or bucktail suspended under a bobber. That's kind of my favorite thing. Very traditional, very, very old school. These 2 guys were fishing paddle tails. I got to admit, when I got home, I did, I went to Amazon. I got some of these, and 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 I even got some of these. And I'm saying these are going to get a big fish. So I got my paddle tails now. I'm starting to doubt my dedication to minnow. But if somebody wants to go out and catch big fish, I'll tell you what, there is no question. It is a good way. Get the biggest, fattest, chunkiest minnow you can get your hands on. Put them behind a big white marabou jig, suspend them under a bobber just about a foot off the bottom, and let her float. And that does work.
Great. So, David, another Rudow. What's your big tip? I saw you that great video of you catching all those fish. What rig were you using for that, and was it your go-to?
So my go-to is about the same as my dad's is. I kind of like to add to it a little bit though. So I've got the marabou jig here that I use. one of these puppies. I like to use these for like quarter ounce, even maybe a little smaller than that. What's it called, bucktail. And then even if it's a little windy, like he likes to sit and drift sometimes. I almost always constantly like to slow troll it just so I'm covering lots of ground. And then if I see a spot that like I think looks really fishy, I've got the lure right here. I'll cast like one of these paddle tails. I don't know if you can see it very well. And just bounce it right above the bottom and just give it little twitches. And I've found that they don't really, if you're just retrieving it, they're not really going to bite. You got to give that twitch to it. But the big minnows under the bobbers really seem to work. I think I've got all of my big fish on a big minnow under the bobber.
All right. Well, consistency there. Eric, I know first, how many days did you fish in 2020?
245.
There you go, folks. I would argue that Eric's fished more in the last couple of years than most anglers in their lifetime. Eric, I know you're a passionate angler on the Native Pro staff. You're a contributor to Fish Talk, fishing so much, but also involved in fisheries management. You're volunteering to do that work as well. Thank you for that. What's your tip? That big 26 you got right there. It's a big fish.
Well, I'll start with let me start with pickerel. At the fish kind of, let's say you fish one pond, mill pond, and been targeting them. What you were doing last year may not work this year. Remember, pickerel kind of change up. I don't know what causes it, but they do. Last year, I was drifting minnows like Lenny was, and I was catching fish. This year, I tried that one day, and I caught a few fish, so I gave that up. I decided I would. I was checking out. I was in Smithville actually. I took a cast with I used a quarter ounce jig with a 4-inch paddle tail on it. Usually like a light blue, pink blue mixture to match the hatch there. Anyway, so I'm trolling and I make a turn and I'm bringing it along and I catch a 23 3/4, and then I let it go. I cast and catch a 23 1/2. I go, wait a minute, I'm onto something here. And what I found is that as I was fishing the mill ponds, I put a rod in my rod holder and I flow troll like David's doing. And that rod wasn't catching anything. The other rod I held in my hand and I would just twitch the tip every once in a while. I'd feel the fish come up behind it and maybe take 2 bites at it and I'd set the hook and catch the fish. And I also tried that with a little bit heavier jig, like a 1/2 ounce, but the mill ponds are so shallow it was dragging the bottom. So with the slow troll, a 1/4 ounce, 4 ounce, or 4-inch paddle tail, just twitching it once in a while. So all the fish that are on the scoreboard for me, except for one, have been caught on artificial.
Awesome. Very cool.
And also keeping, some guys are fishing the Magothy, they're fishing the Severin. I'm using the same jig. I'm casting between docks, not under docks, and bringing it up let it hit the bottom, bring it up a foot, and just bring it at me. And every once in a while, I twitch it, and I was catching them that way as well. Gotcha.
So I hear live bait, upsize bait, trolling techniques, bouncing the bottom. I got out the opening day of the tournament. It's the last time I went fishing, December 1st, pickerel fishing with Tom Weaver. I was throwing a fly. I was throwing a relatively small fly, and I wasn't out competing. I'm not in the tournament, but I know that I was kind of just going after numbers. Really flashy fly, floating line. I was throwing a 6 weight and just having fun catching mid-sized pickerel. I think what's key for these big fish is really to upsize your bait. I saw those big swim baits Lenny has in mind, those big white ones. So
I've got flies, some oscillating flies I'm going to use. They'll move, and they end up being about 4.5 to 5 inches long. And I got a buddy who's got a pond over here that has some big pickerel in it. So I was going to wait till February. I was going to get my numbers up on the kayak, and then I'm going to go over to the pond and catch a big one over there. And then I want to get onto maybe Lenny's boat and get it some on there as well, so I get all these divisions.
Very cool. Very cool. And so let me get a little bit of clarity back. I know I was bumbling over the different divisions when David and I were talking. I quickly looked at the page to make sure I read it right. These things get set up months ago, but here it is. The prize is the combination of however you might catch these fish. You could have a fly fish, a kayak fish, and one caught on bait or on artificial, doesn't matter. Those are the 3 fish stringer that get combined. So the original scoreboard I was showing is the stringer portion of the competition. And then it's just the longest for the remaining divisions. So that's right there on your app. It's right there on your page. You'll also notice I updated the banner at the bottom of the screen. You can register today. So this tournament started December 1st. We did some giveaways. They're literally boxed up sitting at my floor right now. Yesterday was a day of mailing all sorts of things. The post office's eyes were like huge when I backed up the truck yesterday at 4 o'clock. I've been packing boxes between meetings all day today, and I'm going to send out some more giveaways that we drew about a week or two ago. And so I have another giveaway. We're not going to do it tonight, but we're going to get. I'm going to get that all sorted out. I've got a nice rubberized net, a folding net that would be great for a walk-in angler, a kayaker, or even a guy on a boat. It's from Bass Pro, so we've got one of those that was donated previously, and we're going to give it right back to you because this Marty Gary made a comment in the comments section. Happy New Year, everybody! Great work highlighting this long-standing traditional winter sport fishery. Marty's a former fisheries manager at Maryland DNR. He's now the lead at the Potomac River Fisheries Commission, and a guy that just, eats, sleeps, breathes, lives fisheries and fish. So, Marty, you're right. This is a tremendous fishery that happens throughout our state. We heard mill ponds. We heard tidal rivers. We've got some members up in Baltimore in the shadow of some of the downtown buildings, really, catching pickerel. No, they're not reporting the locations as part of this tournament, but that's one benefit of being in the seat I am. You get to hear a lot about what guys are catching. And, for me personally, I love running these tournaments because it's all about camaraderie. It's all about getting people out there, having fun, sharing content like this to celebrate our fisheries. So let's get out there and have some fun, but let's talk some more tips. What else? I heard Eric was talking about trolling a little bit. David, you were as well. If I'm not mistaken, you guys both have pedal drive kayaks, right?
Yeah, hands-free.
Yeah. So you're just maybe the rod in your hand or more than one rod out.
I have, like I said, I was trolling one rod, and I'm very careful on that one. That's just being pulled behind me. The other one, I'm twitching. I'm catching the fish on.
Okay.
Talking about the fisheries, there are some like Smithville, not Smithville, but St. Mary's Lake down here. That's yet a fishery. If you're fishing it, you'll have to use a depth finder to find the fish off of points and things like that. Let your bait drop down. They may be sitting as deep as 11, 12 feet, these fish, feeding on the crappie and things that are just stacked up and waiting.
Okay. So, and I'm sure the tidal rivers are somewhat similar, right? You're dealing with different drop-offs and points than you would with a mill pond, or?
Well, I'd call the tidal rivers completely different myself.
Go ahead.
That's just a totally different. I mean, you got current to worry about. Your depths are changing. You got distinct channels. You got real drop-offs. One thing about the mill ponds is they're basically they're bowls. They're flat. There's very little structure to work with. There might be a little creek bed running around here or there that gives you another foot or two of depth, but they're minimal in terms of what you got to work with. It's an open field. It's like deer hunting on a football field. It's very strange.
Yeah.
But the tidal rivers are really quite different. And I'd say there's quite a difference between the Western Shore tidal rivers and the Eastern Shore tidal rivers too. You really got to approach them very differently. And just as a little, for example, in my little boat, when I'm fishing a mill pond, I would never, ever, absolutely, positively never drop an anchor. I either want to drift and stay moving, or I might slow troll and stay moving that way. In the Eastern Shore tidal rivers, I got an anchor with me. And I have to anchor because otherwise I'm constantly fighting a roaring current. Flip side being to keep the bait moving, you can just literally float something back and let it go until you run out of line. You can let the current do that work for you. But all these fisheries have to be approached in very different ways, I'd say. And like Eric points out, St. Mary's completely different scenario.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like for fishing the Magacy or the Severn, the creek's feeding in there. You have to be very conscious of the tide. I like when the tide's dropping. I'll go there, fish it, but if the tide's out, or if you got a wind coming and all the water's out, you're fishing the channels going back. You have to find where they're at and cast on them, let your bait drop down and bring it up. Because those fish now are hiding on it could be a foot, could be 6 inches, could be 2 feet, but they're going to be sitting there because there's no water for them to be anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we have some or let's keep talking tips. David, I saw you in your video. I think you were drifting along, a light troll, a light pedal every once in a while, floating your bait out on your bobber behind you, right?
Yep. So I like to do 2 bobbers behind me just because if I do more than that with my kayak, they'll get tangled. It's pretty impossible. I did fish off my dad's little boat the other day, and I managed to get 4 out there at a time without getting tangled, which he would probably argue was too many, but I didn't get tangled. So it's just like, I also had to pay attention the entire time. I had another person with me who was working rods. It wasn't like I could just let them float. It was working them. But I would say if you have live bait and you're doing the slow troll, I like to get as many as I possibly can without comfortably without getting tangled. And then if I'm on my kayak, especially, if I see an area like off a point or something like that that looks fishy, I'll cast my jig in there while I have those out and just let them sit. Peek at them every now and then, or feel my kayak getting turned because I'm already hooked up because I wasn't paying attention. But I like to usually keep 2 baits in the water at all times, at least.
Makes a lot of sense.
The thing I find with the 2 baits is that if I have 2 bobbers out and 2 minnows on it, what's beneficial in the kayaks that David and I have with the pedal drive is I've actually caught both bobbers go down. And so I've got 2 fish on. I'm fighting 1 fish while I'm pedaling slowly backwards, keep attention on the other fish, land that fish, put my rod down, grab the other one, reel it in, land that fish, and I have 2 fish in the net.
Eric, you spend so much time in your kayak. Do you ever find yourself like laying in bed at night and just missing it? Or like you have trouble walking when you get out at the end of the day? Your feet just want to go like this the whole time,
Into a boat if I'm fishing. I don't know. It's fun.
That's great. And I know you've got a native, they're available in a couple different spots throughout the state, but I'd love to give a plug to our friend Chris Dollar at CD Outdoors. I know they sell a native kayak. Thanks to Chris, we had that raffle last year and somebody got a brand new Slayer 12.5, Slayer Max.
Cool.
So, we're going to see what we do this year with kayaks and raffles and stuff. But what makes your native the right boat for you in this situation?
Well, the reason I got the Slayer I have is a 10-footer. I'm 60 years old. I don't want to be picking up a boat that weighs, over 100 pounds or close to that. So the weight is perfect for me. It's easy to handle. And I found also with the 10-foot boat, like if I'm fishing for snakehead, for example, over in the Blackwater, and I've got a lot of lily pads to deal with, I'm going down a small channel, I can turn that boat around pretty easily, better than I can a 13-foot boat or something like that. And the pedal drive is perfect. It's got 13.5-inch draft on it, and different than a Hobie, I don't have to change gears. I just have to stop. I don't even stop. I can start going in reverse and just start pedaling the other direction and go reverse. So that's really beneficial on that. Hands-free, I can cast the whole time, fly fish off of it. You can stand on them. They're very stable. They're over 32 inches wide. They're nice fish.
Yeah, very nice. David, what are you using?
So I have not really what you call a name brand kayak. I'm using a Brooklyn Kayak Company 13-foot pedal drive kayak. And definitely if you're on a budget, it's a great budget kayak. I got it for a great price.
You were up with me. We were out at Philadelphia. It does as well as I did. Yeah,
I love it. The thing that I would say one of the main things that I like about it is the fact that it's 13 feet. Like I went across the bay and back. Literally, I fished the entire Bay Bridge one day. I pedaled over 8 miles, and I barely got wet. So, and I've gone take tanker waves, fishing in the harbor for rockfish all the time, and it's fine. I would feel comfortable fishing in the ocean with that thing inshore. So, it's nice to have a big kayak. On the flip side, like Eric said, it's not nearly as short as his. So, I'll see him doing circles around me, and I can barely turn.
Yeah.
So there definitely are benefits having a small one, and my kayak's over 100 pounds. So.
Yes, it makes it very interesting when we try and tow the boat and haul the kayak at the very same time.
I bet.
I think it looks cool. You got a boat behind, and you got the kayak sticking out the back.
We have done it multiple times. It is doable.
Hey, I learned the hard way over the years. Always have plenty of ratchet straps and plenty of extras.
Yep.
You just never know when things might let loose.
I use 4 at least when I do mine.
Yeah. Cool. Lenny, I know your boat. Tell us about it. What's your mill pond and pickerel boat?
So it's a 10-foot, 6-inch, used to be made by Leisure Life. It got bought by another company that I'm blanking on the name now, but it's a poly boat. It's a little polyethylene boat, 2-seater, very simple. It's got a little mini live well that I really, if I catch crappie, I might put them in there to take them home and eat them. But that's, about all that live well is good for.
Tell them about that.
Bass tender. It's a bass tender. It's I had the previous version model going back, my God, 30 years ago. It was a graduation gift from my dad from college, and I had that boat for many years. I loved it for many years. It's light. It's easy to handle. Very maneuverable. I have a 3-horse electric on it, an e-propulsion, which does a phenomenal job. And it's really easy to deal with. I got to say, I was never a big kayak guy. I really wasn't. I fished off of them many times, but just never was my thing. But I got to say, after fishing off of some different kayaks, I think they do beat the boat as far as fishability, maneuverability, and comfort. Because those modern kayak seats, man, they're pretty decent. They really are. However, of course, the big thing is with a kayak, you got one angler. And the whole idea of me buying this little boat, the way I sold it to my wife was I simply said, my daughter's at St. Mary's College. I got to have a little boat I can take down there, and we can go fishing at St. Mary's Lake when I go to visit.
Love
it. So I needed the 2-seater. That was a must. But I got to give the kayaks credit. I really do. They've come a long way.
Yeah, they really have. And I was considering one for myself. I've got a Ginu. And it's sitting in the backyard, and great boat. I got out snakehead fishing in it quite a bit. If I was pickerel fishing a lot, I'd definitely be in the Ginu, probably with the trolling motor. I've got a 15-horse for it too. And but anyway, I was considering a native kayak, and Chris Tyler had me this close to saying yes, I got to have one. It's just not the right time, and I just too much going on to use it. And there's nothing worse than watching a boat sit in your backyard and not get wet, except for when it rains. So Eric, you were telling Lenny to tell a little story about something
about his electric engine. The new one.
Yeah, let me talk.
It's fascinating. I had for years and years and years. I've had a 55-pound thrust transom mount, standard electric 12-volt. Right. Moved the boat at a slow walk, and one 12-volt battery was not enough for a full day of fishing, and those suckers are heavy. You're talking the deep cycle 70 amp hour battery, very heavy, 45, 48 pounds. And e-propulsion came out with this little motor and sent it to me to test. And I've been testing it for several months now. It has doubled speed, quadrupled range, and cut weight by half per battery. So it's actually cut weight by 75%. The battery itself is 19 pounds instead of a pair of 45 pounders. And I can't use a quarter of the capacity, fishing all day, trying to burn it up. You can't use it. So it's a game changer for a little boat with a little motor. If you ask me, it's a total game changer. It is really.
There are 2 people in that boat and they're throwing a wake.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And these guys on their kayaks used to be able to kick my butt. They go roaring.
That's what I was about to say.
Nothing's happening. They're going by me. But now I can keep up. I can maybe even beat them by a little bit. Obviously, it's not helping me catch your pickerel. But,
You should fish closer to the dock, Lenny. Sometimes getting the furthest away fastest doesn't work. I fished this spot in Texas one time with some CCA guys, and, man, we got there real early. We creeped over to the side, and they threw an anchor out. I'm going, we're 100 yards from the dock. No less than 50 boats blew by us. And the guy that was kind of guiding us for the day just started laughing. And man, we were catching speckled trout on every cast. Anyway, side topic. So what Zach says, it's a Sun Dolphin Pro 102.
Thank you, Zach. Zach always knows. He's always on top of it.
All right, folks. Well, I see our friend. I have a pretty cool announcement. We've got over my shoulder here is a copper redfish. That's made by Blue Water Copper Works. So I'm going to bring in, everybody else is going to stay in the room here. I'm going to bring in my friend Haynes Hoffman from Blue Water Copper Works down in Brevard, North Carolina. Haynes, I got to meet through the Barta Boys and Girls Club Billfish Tournament and made some trophies there, and has given back to the fishing community time and time again. He's gotten numerous awards and accolades from lots of the big IGFA and others for his work and giving back to the fishing community, but making some amazing artwork. So there's Haynes in his workshop down in North Carolina. Welcome.
Hey, everybody.
We all just got smaller.
Well, it is 5 o'clock, or 5 something.
Yes. So Haynes, folks can see on the screen, bluewatercopperworks.com is the website. Haynes makes amazing trophies, amazing wall art. It turns copper into just, I mean, something beautiful. You can see a redfish behind his shoulder. I'm going to bring mine a little closer. Haynes, tell us about how you make these trophies, because we're going to talk about the pickerel trophies you're making for us.
Well, these are all hand formed. I work with sheet copper to start with, and hand draw each piece on there. If I'm going to make duplicates, I usually make a template, so I have similar anatomical correctness there, and then a whole lot of noise making going on after that. A lot of hammering, a lot of twisting and pushing. I love copper because it's malleable. I can manipulate it with my hands as well as tools, but it's a friendly metal, and it just lends really nicely to realism. It's just been a joy to work with so many different facets of the fishing community and meeting all kinds of great people all over the country and the world, and it's just an amazing blessing to be able to do this. These fish are when you get into making multiples and you get your production docket filled up and you're looking at all this stuff you got to make and everything, it becomes just like any other job. You got to get it done. And but every one I make, I realize it's going to somebody that put in a lot of time in the water, and it's probably also like-minded in a lot of ways. And I really enjoy fabricating these things. And so 26 years of doing it, not looking back. I'm going to hold out as long as my hands hold out. It's just an awful lot of fun. I kind of got sidetracked there. I finished, basically I fabricate the fish with a lot of hand tools, and then all the coloration is done with a torch, and that's over my shoulder here. I'm getting ready to color this redfish up in the morning. But it's all acetylene oxygen system, but it's a very delicate procedure because copper is the third most conductive metal in the world. That's why it's used for all kinds of wires and stuff. And you got to be real careful with the transfer of heat through it. So you got to be extremely patient. You got to kind of know where the colors live in the metal and anticipate the color change before it actually happens. So it's a very much a finesse game at that point. But like I said, I just love the friendliness of copper and the beauty that comes out. All those colors that are on those fish are naturally in the copper. They're just brought out through heat. And then each piece is sealed with the urethane to keep the air off the surface of it, and so that you don't get your oily fingers or anything on there that'll change the color of the surface of the copper. And it won't oxidize over time as copper does. So these things are all suited for indoor use. If somebody wanted something for their dock or something like that, I can talk to them about some different sealing techniques that would be appropriate for that. But mostly I seal them with a real high-grade urethane, which gives them a nice glossy look, and they'll last forever in your home.
Love it. Well, I see that David has plenty of room on his walls in the back.
I was going to say when we came in, you guys got all the cool fishing stuff, and I got the college kid apartment.
I got you. I see a big, huge muskie on that wall there over your right shoulder.
That sounds good with me.
Catch it and you can get it made. So we were talking a little bit earlier. A lot of folks go the taxidermy route. You can get a fiberglass reproduction made, but you really want something cool, handmade by an angler himself with Haynes. Blue Water Copperworks is the place to go. Haynes popped into a recent live video and was chatting and just said hi and reminded me of that fish over my shoulder. And I went, man, we got to do a pickerel trophy because we used to have one. And it's still around. It's still alive somewhere. But years ago, before I was working for CCA, we had a pickerel tournament, and the idea was the most inches that somebody could catch in a certain period, you had to compete for that, and that was a lot of fun. And there was one guy who won it year after year, but then it kind of got to the point where everybody's like, well, I can't compete with him. He's putting up like 1,100 inches of pickerel. And the idea was that this perpetual trophy would be on the wall. It was on the wall at Anglers. We had talked about moving it from shop to shop, and people fished on different fishing teams, and I had all these crazy ideas. Long story short, we still got to dig around in the back of Anglers and find this thing, because I think it was the first pickerel you ever made, Haynes, if I'm not mistaken.
It certainly was, and I spent a lot of time studying those things, and they're a crazy looking dinosaur looking fish, man. That's it looks like a lot of fun to catch, you know, and especially if you get into them thick. And I bet you have a great time on the water catching those things. I'm gonna have to come check it out with you.
Come on up. Yeah, they exist throughout the East Coast and are a great fishery for us. Great to target in the summertime. I'm sorry, the wintertime. They're a cold fish. So we figure why not take advantage of this. And again, let me get to the final big surprise here that we've been talking about. So first, second, and third stringer, longest pickerel overall. So that's what we call the open. Longest pickerel in kayak and longest pickerel in fly will all get Blue Water Copperworks trophies. The longest trophies, the three of them are going to be a 24-inch custom pickerel, and it has a drop down piece that'll have a little plaque on it, and it'll say, you know, what you won. So that'll be a great piece for anybody's wall. And then the first, second, third of the stringers will get three different sized. Let me see, it's a 24 for the first one, and then I think they'll tier down. So first, second,
the first one's going to be a plaque, so it'll be a hardwood plaque finished out and have a pickerel on it and the nameplate. And then the second one will be like those other first place, the 24-inch drop down, and then the third place will be a freestanding like desktop deal that'll have the pickerel on a little stand and then the nameplate on the wood base. So
great.
David?
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
I said that'd be a good one for David, third place.
I think that's one you're going to get, Eric.
I don't know if Lenny has any more room on the wall, you know?
That's only one wall, too.
He's got stuff sitting in the closet.
Well, see, it's funny that, you know, we're sitting here talking to you three like you guys are in the running. I think Chase Savage should be the one out there in first place right now who's moving stuff around on his own wall. You know, we got some.
Chase is the man to catch, that's for sure.
Too.
Yeah. Chase is a tremendous angler, a great guy who's served our country, and is, you know, he's obsessed with fishing and such a good angler. He's always in the top of so many of the CCA tournaments. So congrats to him for being in the lead right now. You might have a pickerel trophy heading your way, Chase. I'm pretty sure he won the Kent Narrows tournament with the biggest striper last year. So anyway, the reason that we can bring Blue Water Copperworks into the game here and give these trophies to you all is because we have 73 people registered. You know, Lenny at Fish Talk, the folks at Anglers promoted this tournament right there in the beginning. We got all this participation. Everybody that's participating is a CCA member. And because of that, we're giving the money right back to you all to have a really cool keepsake from this tournament. We'll also have some great prizes like we always have. Costa sunglasses. We've got a couple other items that we have to fulfill. The kids will get trophies. They'll get something a little bit different. The youth anglers. So get youth anglers out there. It's free for a CCA youth angler to participate. And you can register right now. Again, there's plenty of, you catch one big fish, you win a prize. You know, it's the biggest. But there's also the panfish division as well. And, you know, it's not always about what you win. Get a group of friends, get out there in the water, have some fun, be safe. Kayak guys especially, you know, wear the right gear, put together a float plan, you know, and let people know what you're doing out there in the wintertime. You go splash, watch out. That water's going to get you quick. So use safety. Even walking along the shoreline. I mean, I was pickerel fishing a couple winters ago and slipped in at Idlewild, and man, I had 2 frozen feet by the time I got back to the truck. So plan for that kind of stuff. Throw an extra pair of socks in the bag. It's cold. We got this polar vortex thing happening right now. So be safe out there, everybody.
Dave, I want to just say something real quick. I just want to say I'm proud of you guys for your conservation efforts, and I'm part of a lot of CCA organizations around the country, and you guys are as strong, if not the strongest I've seen, and I just appreciate the effort and the continued conservation focus that you guys have up there. That's it's what keeps it real, and it's going to keep it going. And you know, like I said, get the kids out there, talk about conservation, keep it pumped up, and you know, just keep doing what you're doing, because we've got to keep these fisheries healthy. And So proud to be a part of it. I look forward to it. We'll see what my schedule's like, but maybe these will be hand delivered. We'll see. There's a little baby that I'd like to see up there somewhere.
Exactly. Come on up and visit. I think we're going to hold you to that one. So
it works out.
It's been too long, but thank you. We're going to close out with a few more little chats. Thanks, Haynes. We'll see those trophies up here very soon, folks, and we'll get some pictures of them while they're being made. And check out Blue Water Copper Works. Amazing artwork, and start thinking about that room in your house that could use some copper art, and Haynes will put it together for you. So thanks, Haynes.
Guys, good luck to you.
Oh, I closed them off too quick, but that's all right. Haynes is such a great guy. All right, one last tip. Lenny, your turn.
Last tip. My last tip is going to be for anybody who's seeing this right now who is not yet in the tournament, who's looked and seen 73 people. My God, they've already been fishing for a month and a half. I don't have a chance. No, actually, you got a really good chance. Historically speaking, trend-wise, February is commonly like pretty much the best month for the big pickerel. I'm excited because this year I get to fish it. Normally the Miami Boat Show gets in the way big time, but there is no Miami Big Boat Show this year. So I'm psyched to fish for February. And I'm telling you right now, despite the fact that Dave's way up there ahead of me and, oh, yeah, Eric's ahead of me too. I mean, it's okay. And Chase, we're coming after you, bud, because there's a lot of jiggling yet to happen in this scoreboard. And you know that's true. Anybody could enter it tomorrow and sweep it. It totally could happen. So if anyone out there is thinking about it, hey, I don't know, you know what? Do it.
Yep, absolutely. And I mentioned early, we're going to do another giveaway for a net. As soon as I can get it scheduled, I've got a nice net. And we remember that I've got one right here. Oh, the Maryland flag insulated buff. These are at all tackle. And first come, first serve for pickerel participants. You just say, hey, I'm in the tournament. Show them your sign up.
What?
You get first come, first serve.
I was there this afternoon. I didn't know.
Oh, so they should be right behind the register up front. So
all right, I'm going back.
Got mine. They're behind the register.
I'm going back.
David, you got one too, bud. All right, so David, your tip. One more.
Right. My last tip is weed beds. If you can find weed beds, right, drop your bobber, or if you're doing a jig, right over the top of it. If you can go weedless, go through it. I don't personally like that as much, especially with the pickerel. I just feel like you miss hook sets. But I find a lot of my fish cruising weed beds, big fish cruising weed beds. And if you've caught a big fish in an area, don't be afraid to let it chill for a couple hours and go back to it. I went last weekend and caught like a 25 and a half in one spot, went the next day, fished it that morning, didn't get a bite, went back later in the day and caught a 25 and 3/4. So you'll catch the big fish in the same spots a lot of times, at least I have so far. So
cool.
I guess that would be my biggest thing.
Awesome. Eric, what do you got?
Repeat what David said. If you catch a fish, or if you get a fish, let it chip back. Tip wise, if you find water that has a weed bed in it, got some openings in it, use maybe a 10-inch red Texas rig plastic worm, or a drop shot with maybe like a 6-inch orange and red plastic worm on it. Work it through the weeds, you get some big fish. All
right. Orange and red. That's definitely I've heard that before, especially yellow as well, or some pickerel colors. I know with the fly, I like them flashy. Those are great tips. Let me check the comments here.
Does everybody know this runs to the 28th of February?
Yep. Yeah. As you can see, the bottom of the screen folks should be able to see. Like Lenny said, you can register now. It is through the end of February. Like I was talking about giveaways, we're going to do more giveaways. So keep an eye on that. And if you didn't see in our news or the little message I sent out on Friday, we're also bringing back our What's on the Line podcast. I had the podcast and just fits and starts with it, not keeping it consistent, but we're going to bring it back the last Thursday of every single month. So at the end of this month, we're going to be talking about striped bass. In February, we're talking pickerel and panfish again with some folks. And then in March, we're going to be talking a little bit about habitat. And I'm going to give you the rest of the schedule here soon. And the podcast is going to be a podcast that you just get the audio recording of. like a normal podcast, but we're also going to live stream just like this to Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and have various guests. So if folks have things they want us to cover, we'll always be updating you on some CCA events and such. But if there's things out there about our various fisheries and you'd like to, hear about them, have us have me and CCA and our members give you an update, let me know. Lenny and Eric both serve on an advisory committee for Maryland DNR, and all three of us are heavily involved in engaging on these fisheries issues that are so important to us. Eric's on the Sport Fish Advisory Commission with me. We just had the Tidal and Coastal Committee is the one the three of us are all serve on. We just had a meeting today from 2 to 4 and talked about some important stuff. Next Tuesday, the Sport Fish Advisory Commission will convene and talk about important stuff as well. And I know it seems frustrating out there. There's a lot of political stuff going on, but there is politics in fish. And a big part of why CCA is involved or was created was to make sure you have a voice in the halls of power. And that's what we continue to do here in Maryland as we start our 26th year. So thank you, everybody, for your time tonight. 45 minutes. We got some good tips. We got some great news on some trophies coming out. And as always, Fish Talk Magazine is the #1 source for information here in Maryland, in the Mid-Atlantic for anglers. We're so lucky to have such a tremendous resource here online and in person, and to have Lenny and now the next generation. When's the next Reelin' with Rudow video coming out, David?
So the plan was going to be this coming Thursday, but I've actually been quarantined. My roommate ended up getting COVID, so I have not been able to fish. But let's plan on next Thursday. Just got to get out there, get some filming and editing done. But I'm going to try to do one every Thursday.
Love it. Well, be safe. I hope everything goes well for you. If you don't make it every Thursday, don't worry. One of these days you'll be gray like your dad, and you'll think back of all the crazy projects you had to do. But hang in there. Be safe, bud. Take care of yourself. Stay away from folks. Lenny, it sounds like you got an opportunity to get back in front of your son. He's on quarantine, and Lord knows we know Eric quarantines on the lake every day. So, Eric, you get out there, have some fun. Everybody, Happy New Year. Be safe, and Fish Talk for some great tips. Thanks.
Thanks for having us, Dave.
Thanks, Dave.